This is Larry Hankin. I'm watching Kendall Talks. It's cool. It's great. You should do it, man. Listen, open up your ears.
What's up, guys? It's your host, Kendall Tucker, man, and today's guest has appeared in over 100 TV roles, 50 movies, and more. Y'all may recognize him as Mr. Heckles on the hit TV show Friends, and much, much more. Today we have Larry Hankin with us. How's it going, brother? How's life?
Life is weird, you know.
I hear you.
Actually, but you kind of roll with it. It's new. I got a really good hit out of it, or I was sequestered long before the virus hit because I was writing something, and I refused to. So I locked myself away for about at least a month writing the screenplay, and then the COVID thing hit, but I was still sequestered away, and then I thought, well, I'll stay sequestered for another month and just finish this thing right up. So that's what it helped me finish my screenplay is basically what I'm saying. So that's like the good side of it. The rest, it's scary and weird going outside because I keep on thinking I'm in the city of thieves. Everybody's got a mask on.
Yeah, I hear you. It's the only time. It's the only time you can walk into a bank with a hat and mask on right now.
Yeah. It's really strange, and I wouldn't know who robbed me. Yeah, it was a guy in a mask.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and then there's the the people who don't wear a mask, and that whole thing, whatever it is, are they right or wrong, and it's really weird. So I just stay home and create. That's what I do.
I hear you, man.
Kind of cool.
As long as you're doing something to better yourself,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's jump into it, man. I've heard you as referenced as that guy in that movie, and I know you have too, because you played in several films. Let's just take it back to the beginning. How did you get your start in acting?
In acting, well, that's an interesting. Okay, I was tracing it down the other day, actually, in my mind, because I do several of these podcasts, and it always gets down to how did you get into this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought that in doing a play in high school in Dear Ruth, and I don't know the character I was playing. I was one of the major characters, and I remember I only did one performance. There was the A team and the B team, and
yeah,
or I don't know if I was the B team and then the A team went the next night or however that worked, but I only did one night, the first night. And I did something which never happened in rehearsal. I didn't know about it. I did a move or something. I reacted to something, I guess, on stage. I heard something for the first time the way the writer meant it to be said. I overheard somebody talking about me, the character. I overheard it. That's in the play. And I always, I wasn't talking. They were talking. I was just sitting, kind of listening, and they said this bad thing about me, my character. I never reacted. But in the middle of the show, on stage, when they said this bad thing to me, I kind of reacted. I heard it. I went, as the character, I heard it, and I went, hey, man, what? I just a physical reaction. That was all. And the audience fell apart, man. They just really laughed like hell. I could never figure it out, but it was a huge laugh. That's all I remember.
Uh-huh.
And that I remembered as being an actor. That's what an actor, well, he got a reaction. And that reaction, I never had any interest in being an actor other than that one moment. Oh, that was amazing. That thing there. And I had nothing to do with it, really. It was like muscle, I don't know, instinct, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't conscious of it. So I became a stand-up comedian because I had nothing else to do, and I was a funny guy in high school. So when I graduated college, I just went around to Greenwich Village with my friend Carl Gottlieb, who was later to write Jaws. I didn't know that. He didn't know that either at the time. And I just hung out in the coffee houses doing Monday night stand-up, which flourished into eventually me opening for Woody Allen and Miles
Wow.
Davis and all these great people, Ian and Sylvia and Bob. So I was a stand-up comedian, but then I got into like Richie Pryor territory and Lenny Bruce, so who was my hero, and I didn't understand when cops would pull me off the stage. I mean, that's what really happened. They were pulling me off the stage in the middle of a concert for the Love and Spoonful. I kept on yelling at the audience, "Hey, but this is rock and roll," you know. The cops came up and took me off the stage. I mean, yeah, because I was saying that to the audience. The cops came because they started to boo when I talked about sexual body parts.
Yeah.
This was in the 60s, you know.
It's a lot
And
different nowadays.
oh, yeah, yeah, cops pulled me off the stage for for cursing on stage, saying fuck and all that other stuff that you can
Yeah.
say on television now. And I was talking about body parts and I was naming them, you know. And so it wasn't that the audience, the kids in the audience who came to see the Love and Spoonful, college kids who came to see it, were booing me off stage when I got to the dirty parts, to the dirty words. George Carlin, the 7, you know, words you can't say. So I took umbrage and I was yelling at them, not the cops. I was saying because they were the ones who made the dean call the police. The audience was throwing stuff at me, man. You know those
Wow.
wooden armrests, and they were, you know, you got to push them forward and then they come off. Well, the first 2 rows were throwing them at me. That's how mad they were. And I was
Wow.
yelling at them like, "You're supposed to be rock and rollers. You're college kids. What are you booing me for?" And then the cops came down, you know, and pulled me up. Love and Spoonful loved it. But I called my, and other instances where people came at me with beer bottles for cursing and, you know. Okay. So I called my agent, who was Woody Allen's, you know, manager, my manager, Jack Rounds. I said, "Jack, man, you know, I'm not even doing drugs yet. Not yet." I wasn't doing. I said, "So I don't understand why they're pulling me off the stage. I was just talking about what everybody's talking about, you know." So he said, "Well, look, why don't you join Second City? They're talking about the same thing Lenny and George Carlin and everybody else is talking about, but they own the theater." So that's how I got into acting. Is
Mm.
I needed a stage. I needed the height and the protection. And then I was okay, you know. Okay, if a guy comes out a beer bottle, me with a beer bottle, you take him out, not me.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
So,
So you know, that's how I get. I
how
did it.
long did you do stand up before you started, acting?
Well, until you know, my manager suggested Second City. You know, audition. You know, who I auditioned with, there was Robin Williams.
Oh, really?
Well, before he was Robin Williams, you know, we were all everybody who was really famous now was just like a beehive in Greenwich Village. There was everybody there. I mean,
Yeah.
there was Peter, Paul, and Mary, but they weren't Peter, Paul, and Mary yet. There was
Yeah.
Dylan was there. I mean, just all, and everybody's watching one another. That was all we were doing. We didn't
Wow.
know, we didn't know what was going on, you know. And then all of a sudden, these names kept. So Robin Williams. So right after that, no, so what was the question? Now I forgot
No, I was just wondering what the time period was between the stand
okay,
up and
so from
acting.
Greenwich Village, okay, so a year. I was, from the time that I got to Greenwich Village, graduating Syracuse as industrial designer. I hadn't known anything to do with it. Very disappointed. My parents were very disappointed. And my over has been disappointing people ever since. There's not just, it's just innate. And so anyway, from there to the Greenwich Village thing to joining Second City, okay, a year. It was a year from doing Monday night open mic nights where I wasn't very funny. Telling jokes to your friends in high school is not like getting up on a stage and having
Yeah.
beer. The best thing I can say about Monday night open mic nights is the audience understands something. There is a bond between if you're not good, they don't boo. They just sit and wait for the next guy.
Yeah.
It's really very generous of them
Yeah.
because on stage when they did it in Washington University and they were throwing shit at me, they were even pulling them off from the back and sending them down. These hands, throw them. They were booing, man. They wanted to hear Love and Spoonful, no question. The guy with the beer bottle wanted to hear the Kingston Trio. Get off the stage. So from there to was about a year. So I went from open mic nights to opening for Woody Allen in about a year. And then from there, word got around. There was Ian and Sylvia and a lot of folk, famous, semi-famous folk guys, Tom Rush. And then it started to go up and up. And then when I joined the Second City, I was there for a couple of months, and then I went to San Francisco and we opened the committee because, it was last hired, first fired. It was me and Jack Burns, who later invented and created Hee Haw. I don't know if you know Hee Haw at all. It was a big show in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't know. But so we went to San Francisco. We opened up our own improv called the Committee. And then I went out. The great thing about improv is you can walk away for a couple of weeks and other people can take your part because there's nothing written. So if we improvise something, I can kind of do the same thing you did, but blah, blah, blah. But so I would take off and go do my stand-up again. But this time I started to rise. Now I was opening for like Miles Davis and the Kingston Trio and the Playboy Club and,
Nice.
and that kind of stuff. But still, when I went back, and then I said, okay, the road is enough because you're living on the road. It's good money. It's a lot of fun. But when I went to Las Vegas, that's what cut the cord. And I just went, I'm going to go back into full acting now. And here's what happened. They treated me kind of weirdly because I was playing in a nightclub, a big nightclub, opening for somebody. I don't know who that was opening for. And they expected me, this kid all I was a kid from Far Rockaway, to be like the stars, like go out drinking and partying and meeting people. That's all they wanted me to do was meet people. Hey, and getting your picture taken. And it was like, I'd rather be sleeping right now. Actually, I'd rather be sleeping. You want to know the truth? And I started to do that.
Yeah.
I started to just pull away. And they thought now I was, Mr. Uppity. And I go, oh, no, man, I can't. I mean, it was just no matter what I did, they interpreted it.
Yeah.
If a star did that. And I'm going, no, I don't get it. I just don't. So I would go back to the committee and I would stay there. Okay, fine. So I went south. I went to Los Angeles instead of Las Vegas because the money was good, but it wasn't my stuff. See, that's the difference between doing stand-up and even the committee. You're making up the stuff in your head. Now in the committee, you're relating to somebody, you're bouncing off back and forth. But when you're doing other people's words, again, my attitude, gets in the way. Like, I should be saying my words. Can I change this? I couldn't, And then there's a pecking order. One day somebody said, yeah, you can change it.
Yeah.
I can? Whoa, Mr. Important. So then, and then you start picking it's, to me, it was flying up your own, your own ass.
Yeah.
you know. So I had to pull back, and I started to become a writer and doing my little videos and my own films and stuff like that. So that's what I do. Like, that's my painting back there. Here's another one over
Oh,
there.
nice.
You know, that's for one of the film shorts that I did. You know, that's another film short that, you know. So I'm doing my own thing. That's a chair I sit in when I did that. You know, that's a mirror. That's my friend's painting. You know, it's,
That's cool, man. Now, since then, I mean, you've been in several films. When people see you in public and recognize you, what show or movie is it that people mainly recognize you from?
okay. There's three. Mr. Heckles, because Mr. Heckles number one runaway, because the show is a runaway number one. It's all over the world, man.
Yeah, to this
It's
day.
everywhere. It's
Yeah.
in India. I'm a huge. I just got a call from India. I've never had a call from India. Never. I got a call from India. They want me to sign autographs
Oh, wow.
for the Friends show in India. But I mean, they're really excited. It's not like, well, you know, you're on the show and they're on the show. No, it's like, oh yeah, Mr. Hankin. You know, I'm too old for that. Where were they when I was 18, man? I would have gobbled that up,
Yeah.
man. I would have ate it. But you know, it's well, thank you. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, but you get to sign autographs, and it'll be well, yeah, I guess it will be. You know, that's very interesting. Very interesting. But you know, I got to type. I got to finish this. I got to finish this. I'll get back. So yeah, it's mind blowing. But you have to get used to it. I find out that if you're not used to it, people get very surly. Just like I don't know what it is. What the triggering thing between yes, you're one of my fans, or I'm one of your idols, and no, you're a human being and I'm a Homo sapien. That's okay, you're a Homo sapien too. And if you do that, some people don't like it. They don't want to know that you're a human being.
Yeah.
That's not why I'm here. I stood in line for 2 hours for a human being to sign this. What are you kidding? No, they don't wait 2 hours. No, maybe 30, 40 seconds. But
it is crazy how Friends just, I mean, it was big back then, but I mean, it's big now. I mean, you got people younger than me that's still growing up watching Friends.
Yeah, it's a burden, man. It's really a burden. It's not, you know, it's not what I planned on being famous for at all. But then there's, you know, Breaking Bad, which is really cool, you know. So that's the second, and then Seinfeld. You know, so those are the three, and then you know, what do you call it? The Adam Sandler movie,
Billy
Billy
Madison.
Madison. So that's so those are the 3 and the 5. That's about the first 5, the top 5. And I want to change that. Because when I was a stand-up comedian, I wasn't that at all. I mean, that's not me. That's a construct. I can say that now. Just looking back, what people know of me is a total media hype construct. I'm not saying that bad. It's not like, you know, Dylan hated it because they changed the words. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's just not me. It's as real as you want it to be for you. You know, I'm doing the best job I can.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, you show up, you do your job. Hey, do this. Great. If I can get a laugh out of it, you know, help you along, or just for my own ego that, yeah, I'm still funny. Yeah, I know it's funny. But it's has nothing to do with me. That's a construct you get it. Like, the greatest, there's 2 great pieces of information about being an actor. But Batman, one of the guys who played Batman, the guys is, I don't know if he's still alive, but one of the guys who played Batman, and another guy was about to play Batman. So they're 2 big stars, you know. So one guy's leaving, he's coming in. So he called him. He said, "Hey, when you do Batman, so this is like a big tentpole movie. When you do Batman, I mean, how the hell do you act in that thing? Because he had tried on the suit already.
Yeah.
It's big rubber, it's heavy. And how the hell do you act on that? And something I said, and the first actor who had done 2 or 3 said, you don't act, you let the suit act. So the actor who came on changed his voice a little, and that's all he did. So that's the one thing about the facade. After a while,
Yeah.
you get to know. You just go into it, and you put it on, and you do it. And it's fun. I mean, hey, I like acting in
Yeah.
front of the camera. It's the stuff that surrounds it till you get there that's really hard. And then the other really great thing that one director said, all great directors are great in one of the same ways. I guess they're different in other ways. But one of the greatest, they don't direct, as far as I can tell. Not to the actors, not to the good actors. And John Huston, who I worked for, he said, look, 80% of your movie, man, is casting the right actor, and then leave him alone. He said, Huston said that if you direct an actor, you're interrupting the thing you hired him for. You hired him for he's creative, he takes chances, which Al Pacino said, Hey man, I want a director to be my safety net. I take chances, man. I want somebody to reel me in. But I don't want people to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But yes, and tell the story. You got to tell the story. I mean, that's. But Larry David, one day I was doing, Tom Pepper, the guy who stole the raisins. That's one of my, characters. He goes, I was trying to do Buster Keaton. That's what I had in mind. That the guy was so passive aggressive, the character, that it's how I interpreted it's my idea. Was that he was passive aggressive, so he didn't do anything with his face. So I thought Buster Keaton, just nothing, keep it nothing. Well, I guess let the suit do the acting, and maybe it's just kind of the same thing. Just let everything else be the acting, just react. Anyway, that's what I was doing, Buster Keaton. And I was jealous because Larry David would give his cast, like Seinfeld and Kramer and Costanza. He would give them little notes that would make them funnier. I mean, the guys knows what's funny, man. So he would give them a little note, then you'd do it again, and it would be funnier. Cool. So I was like, why is he talking to me, man? Why don't you give me a little, sugar? So so finally he said, Tom, I want to talk to Larry. Oh, good, great. So I go over to him. So he comes over to me. He said, I want to talk to you. Great. What do you want? He said, I know what you're trying to do. And he had this like fucking attitude. I know what you're trying to do. Which, okay, you're going to give me attitude. I'm going to give you attitude, so I don't care who you are. So I go, oh, really? What am I trying to do? So he goes, you're trying to do nothing. And I was so blown away because that was exactly what I was trying to do. And I wasn't ready for that. I was ready to, fight. So, oh, yeah. And I got really, I said, yeah. Well, what? He said, well, you're doing something. And he walked away. And I thought, what a cool guy. That's a great piece of direction.
So
yeah, but that's great, man. That's just like Huston.
That's awesome. What's been your favorite project to work on so far? Your favorite one?
Well, because each one I'm excited about, or I can't do it, or I'm not as good as I want to be, and I get very disappointed. So I learned, pretty late. I'm a slow learner, but don't do anything that you really don't want to do. It just kills you. It doesn't. They don't care. They don't care how you feel. So I just tell this fucking story, man. So I learned Breaking Bad because of the atmosphere was so creative to telling stories, man. Everybody there wanted to. First of all, I've never been, except here, Barry, same thing. Everybody was on the same page. I mean, man, the person who was sweeping up to the director, everybody was telling the same story. It's great to get into that atmosphere because everybody's so positive. I mean, there's no. I mean, even if something goes wrong, it's quickly taken care of, or gone around or fixed or whatever. But it's not a big, oh my God.
Yeah.
Barry and Breaking Bad.
Do you
I
have
guess yeah,
Do
go
you
ahead.
have a favorite role to play? Like I've noticed you played a lot of homeless men in movies.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, do you like
Drawn
that,
to that.
or is it kind of
Yeah,
like okay
that
now?
was on purpose. That was on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Well, two or three things. One is I grew up on Charlie Chaplin, man, and what was he? He was homeless. Nobody talks about that,
Yeah.
but he was homeless. I had to explain that to a producer once. No, no, no. Charlie Chaplin, think he was homeless. Most famous guy in the entire planet, homeless. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to. I got to. So I wanted to spread my wings, so I started to write myself. So I started with the homeless guy. I have a lot of those. And now I've written, just finished writing a vampire part for myself. Just to, let me
Oh
see
wow.
yeah, that should be, it's kind of funny, but it's sad. No, not sad, sympathetic. It's incredibly. I want to challenge myself. I
Yeah.
wanted to give him a lot of impossible things that a vampire. It's called. Well, I can't tell you what it's called because it's a great name that you want to see it just because you hear the name. But it's a female as the lead. I just She just meets me on kind of on the way.
So you
Uh,
wrote and you're going to direct it as well.
Well, maybe I will. I don't want to. It's a lot easier if you don't, but you get a lot, and it's a lot harder if you do. But you get what you want. You think.
Yeah.
that's that's a ruse to get you to do it, because nobody else wants to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'll do it. Yeah, I guess I don't. You know what I want to do? Here's my aim. Actually, the guy that you're talking to,
Hmm.
that's the role. Is my next role. Is the guy you're talking to? Have you seen any of the coming attractions of the King of Staten Island? That new comedian.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched that movie the other day.
You what?
Yeah, I believe I watched that the other day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movie I want to make. I mean,
Oh,
just
okay.
a funny but real movie about my life. Now, I don't know if there's enough interest in me now, but basically back in the old days, I mean, all the stuff I just kind of told you, but the time off stage between what I told you, what was
Yeah.
happening. Um, I had a pretty interesting life, as far as I can tell from people you talk to about, hey, what did you do in your life? They go, oh wow, what did you do in your life? I once talked to a guy until I said, because there's an old story. Everybody's got a story, man. It's just if you want to sit around long enough to hear it.
I
But
hear you.
it's everybody. I mean, and one day, just as a writer wannabe, I went into a bar and I said, I'm going to sit down and talk to somebody in here until I get the story, the real reason. I saw this guy, half drunk. Well, it wasn't really half drunk. He was kind of tipsy, but, you knew he had a lot. I thought, well, he's kind of far gone. Maybe I can get there quicker if I talk to this guy. But I talked to him for 3 hours, feeding him drinks and stuff. He was an alcoholic. I'm sorry. That was kind of being an aide. But and finally I got to it, man, and it fucking blew my mind. And it was about how he was supposed to commit suicide with a bunch of his buddies in the army because he was on a suicide mission, and they separated. And all of a sudden, he said, if one of us gets caught, we all got to pull the trigger. They had a landmine strapped to their chests,
Oh
all
wow.
three of them. And they knew what the thing was. They said, we need to, and it was for the Germans on this Northern Africa campaign. It was really important. He was one of the guys. Said they have to blow the Rommel's tanks. He was the guy who was supposed, his three guys were supposed to blow up the gas tanks for Rommel's tanks so Rommel couldn't use his tanks against us.
Mm-hmm.
He did, and he fucking whipped our ass for a little while there because he didn't do it. He heard boom, and once you hear boom, you got to pull it. He heard boom, boom, and just as he went for his chest, bam, he was grabbed from behind, and he wasn't allowed to. He couldn't. I mean, he like that, and he had dogs on him and shit. The Germans captured him. He spent 2 years in a concentration camp, and he never forgave himself for not being able to pull the chain.
Wow.
That's why he was drinking. Not he didn't do what he said he was going to do, and he was torturing himself. You know how long Second World War was, man, and he was still, So I thought that was the last time I did that. I said, man, I don't think I can take anything, Okay, but I get it. It works. You're right. Okay. Everybody has a story.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, but you don't know where it's going to go, and blah, blah, blah. But I thought, okay, yeah, so that, I was connecting that to, it's not as dire as that, but the King of Staten Island and a lot of other stand-up comics do that a lot now. That's what's going on, hey, my life story. But Richie Pryor's life, I'm sure, is pretty interesting. But anybody's life, really, if you got down to that part, we go, hey, this is the interesting part. You go, yeah, that's a movie right there,
Now, I seen that this past year you also became an author. You put out a book.
Yeah.
What's the name of that book?
Well, it's the wrong title. I was trying to be clever. The title is The Loopholes Dossier. And I just, the word loopholes was big for about, 3 days. The word dossier was big for about 3 days. And I thought, I'll call it dossier. But basically what it is, it's really a cool book. It's 7 fables, 7 satirical fables based on the story of Sometimes Jones. It's the 7 fables of Sometimes Jones. That's the first third of the book. And it's just 7 fables. It's the fables about a kid who's what is it called when somebody is really just born with, he can count how many toothpicks there are in a jar.
Yeah.
A savant. The kid was a pickpocket savant, 15 years old. He was, and he runs away from home because he didn't like his father, runs away from home to San Francisco, on San Francisco streets, and he becomes the best pickpocket in San Francisco on Market Street, which is a big place there. And through that, he becomes the head of a gang and stuff like that. So that's the first fable. And how being a savant, how his talent gets him into a lot of trouble, and how he begins to hate it, but then he begins to like it. So it's a 15-year-old trying to come to grips with what he wants to do or what he can do and the difference. And then each fable after that is different stages of this kid's life until he finally gets to about 55. And he runs away again, but this time he runs away to Tibet. And what happens there, because you can change everything, and there's a small thing that, no, man, you're still the same Sometimes Jones, but he has to go through all these. So that's 1/3. Second thing is where I got the title from. It's a guy named, I don't know, something like, I don't remember his first name, but Luther B. Loophole. And he becomes president of the United States. And basically, it's the FBI's dossier from the time they pick him to run till he becomes, till 4 years after he becomes impeached. So it's the FBI's dossier on Luther B. Loopholes from the time he starts running till 4 years after he's impeached, and what he does with this, and how he gets from how a politician really works.
Mhm.
And he basically, you see how he finds the loophole in each situation. And sometimes it works brilliantly, and sometimes it's doesn't work. It blows up in his face, basically.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the biography, the written oral. He's got one of these. This is a digital recorder.
Mhm.
So he's got one of these, and he walks around and he talks in it. He's a homeless guy called Barnum Justice is his name. And Barnum Justice is about 70 years old, and he walks around with this. He's kind of crazy, a homeless guy. Walks around telling all his rants, his raves, his day, who he met, everything that's running through his head, he's recording. And then he goes home and he writes it. And he lives in what he calls safe zones, places where he can sleep and not be bothered,
Yeah.
And he writes them down in his notebook, and he has a girlfriend. Okay. Well, he dies. One day he dies. I befriended him because I was kind of homeless for about a year myself in San Francisco. I befriended him. And when he died, his girlfriend came to me and said, he wrote a whole bunch of books which he left behind, which amounted to about 34 or 35 notebooks. Notebooks, strange as it may seem, like this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 34 of them.
Wow.
Well, he was writing for a long time, and he left 4 of them. He left 4 of them to me, and she said he wanted me to have them. So I transcribed them and put them in the book. And what it is Barnum Justice's it's the last 4 books of Barnum Justice's life. And it's just his recorded voice that he wrote down in these 4 books. And some of it is insane, some of it is serious, some of it is funny, some of it is weird. It's just the ramblings of a homeless man. Now, I was homeless for a year. I lived in my car for a year up in San Francisco. I didn't do it on purpose, but once I was there, I said, okay, let's see what this is like. I mean, that's the yin and the yang of my existence. Sometimes just because of a mistake, I'll be somewhere where I don't want to be. Or no, it's not that. I'm somewhere where I didn't know I was going to be.
Yeah.
This is not where I thought I was going. And I'm there, and it's too strange for me to learn. It's like, wait a minute. I mean, it's not dangerous, I don't think. But there's too much to learn here. I'd rather go back. And sometimes I can't go back, and I go, okay, let's see what's going on. And I'll just lose myself in it. You won't see me for 3 months. And I'll go, oh, shit, man, I got to get back. Or whatever. I mean, I did that a couple of times with the committee. I would do that. I'd say, I'm going away for 2 weeks, and I wouldn't come back for a month. Or I'm going away for 3 days, and I'd come back, after a week. And it became a habit. It became, and now I got some stories that, too long to tell. I'm going to write a book about it. I did record them. Where, I've been threatened in my life with a knife to my throat and 2 guns to my head at separate different times, not all at once, but only because I misinterpret. I say I'm dyslexic. I forgot to tell you that. I misinterpret dyslexia, not understanding lexicon, language, writing. I eidetically learn. I don't learn linearly, for the most part. For the most part, I have both parts. But So I misinterpret and I get in the wrong spot at the wrong time and I say the wrong thing to the wrong guy and he pulls out a gun. You're a fucking cop. No, I'm not, man. And now I got to talk my way out of something instead of,
Wow.
it's a long story, but it happened twice. Well, yeah. And no, actually two knives and one gun.
And you're going to put that into a book.
And I'm putting it into a book. But another, what I'm saying is, though it became a habit, sometimes, I mean, there's a danger to it. I don't think there's a lot of times where I've thought back on, in making notes on writing for the book. And I go, I don't know how the hell I even dared put my foot inside this door because I know what's going to happen. I know what happened after I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I didn't know that, trying to save a friend's life he would take it as ratting him out. I mean, a friend of mine took a knife and was going to kill a guy. They had an argument. They hated each other. They fought. He came home. He took a knife out of there. I was my roommate. He was my roommate. He runs out. So I called ahead to the bar. And they said, hey, man, the guy who was just fighting with that other guy? Is that other guy still there? He goes, yeah. He says, well, get him out of there because the guy I ran out with has got a knife now and he's coming back there. I swear to God, this really happened. And he's heading back there. So just get him out of there. That's all. Just get him away from there. He comes back about half hour later, my roommate, with the knife. And he says, you ratted me out. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, when I got there, the guy was gone. And when I asked where the guy was, the bartender said, your buddy just called and told him to get out of here. So I told him to. So you ratted me out. And then, boom, he took me into the bathtub, man, like this. He was bigger than me. Well, he was about as big as me, but he was heavier. And he took me into the bathroom and he took me into the bathtub and he put the knife. That's, there's no way out of that. He put you in the bathtub and I felt like all I could do was feel the knife here and the shower pipes on the back of my head. That's all I could. Now, there's no way you can plan on getting out of there, and I managed to, but Jesus.
Yeah, that was pretty scary, I bet.
Well, yeah. And, it makes for a good story, but the lesson, it took me years to understand how I got into that situation.
Yeah.
No, where did it start? Where could I have known, and also, I couldn't even tell about the bartender. And that was the stupidest thing. I think he wanted to get back at this guy or me. Mm-hmm. I think he was a friend of the guy. He said, you better get out of here. Yeah. But, it's like crazy. And I did that, in other words, I was there for it, And so you can figure it out, wow, Larry, is this because it happens once or twice, okay. But if it happens over and over again, you start to question your motivations here.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what's some...
C'est la vie, c'est la guerre, c'est la pommes de terre.
Now, real quick, last question I got for you. What's some advice you could give to people looking to get into the entertainment industry?
Wow. It's so different from when I started that, what do I know now? I'm trying to get back into it. I got a screenplay I want to sell. And boy, they don't want to know from me. Oh, you're an actor. I mean, I'm pigeonholed. Sent, delivered, signed, sealed, and delivered. Who was that guy who did Superman? Reeves. Is it Steve Reeves? George Reeves? Somebody Reeves. George Reeves, yeah. Never lived. They couldn't get another job after doing Superman. Couldn't. Weird.
Crazy.
So what advice would I give myself? Well, you got to go with the flow. You got to make a reel. You got to act. You got to do it yourself. Basically, make a little. Okay. This is really make a little film, a minute, 2 minutes. Get together with a friend of yours, no matter what age you are, 15, 14, 28, 104. Get together with a friend of yours and do a 1 minute or 2 minute funny film about you and your friend, or just about you. That's all. And then put it on YouTube or start to show that around on your Facebook page. It's the whole thing now is publicity. When I started, it wasn't that. It was your talent and what they needed, and luck. Talent and luck. If you walked in the door and they needed a guy who looked like you didn't need the talent. Stand over there. But now it's all media and hype. It's publicity. It's get your name. I don't know. It's.
Well, there you have it. Well, there's some advice right there.
Well, I guess so. I'm talking to me now.
Yeah. Well, Larry, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me, brother, and nothing but love and respect. And hopefully we can do this again in person in the near future.
Fine. Cool, man. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Good talking to you.